right, hello Scale Speed Garage members. Chris here with an assembly video on the modern snatcher style wrecker bed. Some of you have already started downloading this, printing it, getting it set up for printing, hearing a lot of great things about it, but I know it is a complex design. Very lifelike, realistic. This thing is so realistic that I finished designing it and it started up and repossessed my car, so I had to chase after it. But I know there are a lot of moving parts here, quite literally, that need to kind of be explained on how it goes together. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to look at an animation, and I will provide this lovely voiceover for how everything goes together. Just a couple notes, a couple general notes about printing this. First thing, there are two different styles of body. The one you see right here in this image is sort of the more deluxe version with that body side trim, and those are separate pieces for ease of detailing. There is another kind of more simple body style as well that you can print also. Everything else is the same across those two. Everything fits exactly the same. It's just kind of the difference in the trim there. We do have in the bonus for this pack, we have a tunnel toolbox coming that will sit in front of this. If you have a longer wheelbase truck and you need to take up some more room, we're going to have a tunnel toolbox in there. That'll be available in a few different lengths to kind of really give you some customizability there. Also in the bonus pack there will be wheel dollies. This bed actually already has mounting holes for the wheel dolly mounts, but we'll have some really cool, very highly detailed wheel dollies that are better than anything else that's out there as well to really complete this unit here. This design makes a lot of use of the sort of ball and socket type joints that we've been using lately on like suspension items and things like that. These are designed to be sort of snap fit with motion allowed in the joint. They will require that you have your printer fairly well dialed in. The tolerances are pretty tight here, and if you are overexposing your prints, you may have some issues getting these joints together or with them really having the proper range of motion, because you remember when you overexpose resin, it grows, it exposes too much of the surrounding resin to the UV light, and therefore when you're overexposing your prints, they come out larger than they should be. So again, because of the tolerances here, you're really going to want to make sure that your printer is well dialed in. If you are curious about that, if you maybe haven't done a real in-depth calibration test, go over to the starting line section in your members area and look for the Amerilabs Town Test. That is my favorite calibration test for getting really fine-tuned results on what your exposure times are like and how you can improve those. So if you haven't done so, or you're just feeling like you could, use a little more fine-tuning, go do that before you print this bed and you will have better results. If you're finding that things fit a little bit loose with like the hydraulics, specifically if you're finding there's not enough friction there to kind of keep this posed the way you want it to, you can always beef up the ends of the hydraulic rams with just like a drop of thick super glue, or even just a quick little wrap of real thin masking tape, for example. I would maybe go the super glue route. That would be more permanent, but that should provide you with a little more friction if you want to be able to kind of pose this thing and set it in various different positions. So now that we have all of those sort of general notes out of the way, let's dig into the assembly of this guy. All right, so I would start on this guy by assembling the boom first. So we will first start with the boom unit itself, as well as the boom hydraulic rams left and right. These are identical pieces, but we've had some feedback before where we have one item that you're supposed to use multiple times in a build, and people say, you know, how many of these do I need? So what we did here was we gave you the left and the right, even though they're identical, just to make it easier so you're not sitting there kind of racking your brain of, you know, okay, how many of these, how many copies do I need to make of this in your slicer or whatever. But if you want to just drag one in and copy it in your slicer, you can absolutely do that as well. So we will take the sort of heim joint type ends of these hydraulic rams and snap those into place in the pockets on the boom. Next is the boom pivot plate here. This is the unit that supports the entire sort of pivoting of the boom. The tapered front end is where our hydraulic our hydraulic cylinders snap into place, and then the boom itself will snap into the back end of that pivot plate. Or I guess technically as it sits on the truck, that would be the front end of the pivot plate. And you'll just want to make sure to line up the rams and the cylinders as you are putting that together. Next are the boom hydraulic manifolds, and those just clip right into or slot right into the fittings on the hydraulic cylinders. And next we have the lift arm hydraulic cylinder. This one doesn't show it, but this one should also have the fittings as well. It's also identical to the boom hydraulics, but this one should have those fittings as well on there in the production version, and it has its own manifold that glues onto those fittings as well. And there are pins and holes for easy locating and mounting, and that assembly there will just notch into this slot up here on the inside top of the boom. And that's kind of a look at the boom as a whole. Next up, we'll look at the lift arm and the wheelbar assembly. So the lift arm here is the cross piece that sits at the front of the tires when this is towing a car. And I left out the left side here, or the right side, I guess we're looking at the left side over here. But this is the wheel bar, or the wheel clamp hydraulic cylinder. And you'll have two of those, and those will slot right in here into the top of this sort of support piece for the wheel bar. You'll do that left and right. And then you will snap in the lift arm telescoping piece. And you see that is slotted for sliding. We'll look at that a little bit more here in just a moment. And then we have our wheel clamps left and right, and our wheel clamp hydraulic rams left and right. So those rams, those hydraulic rams, will clip into or snap into the open end of the wheel clamp. You will have to kind of angle this wheel clamp to slide it over the end of the wheel bar, but then it should just snap right into its pivot point here on the wheel bar, and the hydraulic ram into the hydraulic cylinder. So you'll do left and right there. Okay, then as I mentioned, this whole assembly slides into the lift arm, and you're going to want to slide that into the lift arm and then insert the lift arm retainer plate. And I would only glue this retainer plate along its very outer edges so that you don't get any glue inside the lift arm itself and risk ruining that sliding motion that you have there. So we'll put that retainer plate in, and then the hydraulic ram, the lift arm hydraulic ram, snaps into the pivot point down at the bottom of the lift arm. And then this is another one where you will just sort of slide the hydraulic ram into the cylinder and at the same time snap the lifting arm pivot points onto the divots or the impressions in the boom itself. And there you go, you now have a complete boom. Now we'll switch gears and look at the body. So we have the body here. And again, both styles are going to be the same minus the trim, and this style has the cutaway in the top of the body for those trim pieces. The toolboxes are marked left and right. And again, remember guys, anytime we do left and right with files here, it's always as if you're sitting in the driver's seat looking out the windshield. That's, your left and your right is how we do that, just to avoid confusion. That always stays the same. So these are marked so that there's no guesswork as to which one goes where after you pull them off the printer and clean them up and cure them. And these are designed to kind of snap into place. They don't clip in, but they do sort of pivot up into place for you there. Next we have the subframe. This one doesn't really have any positive locating pins or anything, but the rear cross member here sits right at the edge where the inner edge of this body starts to angle downward. And then the boom plate drops in. First we have these side marker lights here. Those can go in. Then the boom plate drops in on top of the subframe. Finally, the boom assembly drops in on there. We gave you two options for winches. One is a single winch, one is a dual winch, and they are pinned accordingly for the mounting holes here on those base plates for the winches. If you're doing the dual winches, there is a left and a right. They are mirror images of each other, but just take note of that. The hydraulic motors for the winches are pinned to go in there. And again, on this one, guys, there's no two pins that are the same. If there's parts that look like they might go one place or another, everything's pinned in with a unique size and shape of pin for again, to kind of take any guesswork out of it. So those winches, if you're just doing one or if you're doing both, those glue into their mounting spots on the top of the boom. Next we have the recovery arm. This telescopes into the recess here on the top of the boom. I would actually, it's not illustrated this way, but I would actually glue your cable fair lead into its mounting location on the end of that boom first. And again, there's a single and a dual fair lead for whether you're using a single winch or a dual winch. This can be left off entirely as well. Not all of them have this recovery boom, but that just telescopes into the main body of the boom. There's the fair leads. Next we have some wheel arches. Those are pretty self-explanatory. We'll look at the toolbox doors next. So we did give you separate door pockets and door handles. Why? For two reasons. One, ease of painting. I know I'm not great at getting real sharp brush painting lines, and I don't love masking things that are, just a couple millimeters in size. So I like to just have them separate so I can paint everything separately and then assemble it. These are going to be pretty small, but they should be still fairly easy to work with. The second reason is just because it's freaking cool to be able to put this on a model contest table, for example, and have the toolbox door open on one side with the door handle out and have it closed on the other side, whatnot. So that just drops into the pocket on the toolbox door. The right side is exactly the same. This has the same ball and socket type connectors for allowing this door to pivot. Next is the fuel filler cap and the surround for the fuel filler, and that just drops into place. The D-rings on the back, same thing. The tailgate, the tail light surrounds and the tail light lenses, separate pieces if you want to print the lenses in a clear resin and paint them clear red, or if you want to print them in a clear red resin, whatever you want to do there, you certainly can as well. Those drop into those taillight surrounds, and then the taillight surrounds drop into the body. The controls drop right into the body as well. There are the trim pieces. And then the light bar here, the arch drops into place. We have some side marker lenses there, and then the light bar itself, and a lens, which again you could print those in clear as well, clear or clear yellow. And that rounds out the assembly for the tow truck. Hope you all enjoy, and I really look forward to seeing what you all come up with for this.